What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another week of the Multiverse podcast. I am Bad Ty Briggs here with Holly Noon and Tyrone Thornhill. What's up, guys?
Hey.
How was the weekends, man? Let me just hear a little bit about the weekend. Holly, how was your weekend?
It was interesting. So I did see Chris Rock, and I did for the last 20 minutes of the show.
Oh man, that sucks.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not trying to call out certain folks on the podcast.
Don't do it. They might be watching.
Yeah. So, but I have it where I think I'm gonna go try and see Chris at Radio City Music Hall in the fall. So make it like a whole trip.
We're gonna work it out. We're gonna work it
Yeah,
out. We're gonna get you there.
Yeah.
We're gonna get you there.
Yeah.
Tyrone, how about you? Did you get to see Chris Rock too?
I did not get to see Chris Rock. I was mostly at home, and he hasn't been over in a while, so I didn't get to see him this weekend. But I'm glad you did, Holly. That's cool.
Yeah, listen.
20 minutes, man. Yeah, you was under duress. I understand. They took your phone and said no recording and none of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
right?
I got a drink thrown on me. It was very interesting.
Oh, a drink! Wow.
Yeah, I almost got ran. I almost got trampled. Several of us almost got trampled coming off an escalator as the show was over. So yeah.
Damn,
that didn't sound fun at all. That sounds dangerous. That sounds like
it was. No, it was. So yeah,
I didn't know it was like that at Chris Rock shows. That's wild.
Man,
no, I think it's more the casino. I don't think it was really Chris Rock.
Oh,
so, yeah,
okay.
Yeah. We'll everybody out at once. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll fault that on alcohol. We'll put that on alcohol.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, we're back for another week. We got a lot to talk about today. It's mostly comedy, but we have a special guest, and I'm very excited to present this guest to the audience. But without further ado, let us introduce Zilla. Zilla, what's going on? Big round of applause for Zilla. Big round of applause. Yeah, Zilla. So glad to have you here to talk some comedy and talk some of your favorite comedians. We don't waste time over here at the Multiverse, so we're gonna jump right into it. Let's talk about who are your top 5 favorite comedians. Since you are the guest of honor, we're going to start with you, Zilla. Who are your top, or some of your top comedians?
I would say LaWanda Page. You know her from Sanford and Son. She was the next door neighbor. Then you also have Moms Mabley. I love Marsha Warfield, especially her work on the Richard Pryor show. I'm going to say Maria Bamford for someone who's working now. But the top 3 I picked because I like they were all very sexually forward as a gag. Like their angle was that if men could do it, then so can I. Most famously, like LaWanda Page was still very sexually forward, even though she was older, which was hilarious and a great angle to take. And then, of course, the reveal about Mom's personal life, which went dead set against her actual stage persona, which is very dope. I love Wanda Sykes as well. I don't know if I believe that's 5. So Wanda is definitely in there. I've always been a Wanda fan. I loved her work on the Chris Rock show when she was in Pootie Tang. But when I really knew I loved Wanda was when she, her special's called Not Normal. And that's a reference to who was president at the time. And I thought she was one of the few comics that really put her neck out. And while he was still president, she did the first 10 minutes of her show. She was like, before we have any fun, I'm going to tell you that this is not normal. And I was just so proud that I saw a lot of specials, that complained, but didn't go after the man directly. So I thought that was dope. She took a risk there.
Okay. Now, I was led to believe that you also like this guy.
Dick Gregory, yes. I always say women because, by habit, it's almost always, I'm going to say, a list of men. Because when you think of of course, Eddie Murphy, my goodness, Dick Gregory. So there's a lot of comics nowadays that call themselves activists. But Dick Gregory used to literally get arrested with Medgar Evers. You gotta, you know what I mean? He was putting his life, his money, where his mouth was. He continued to do comedy. He was always like, that could have been me. So I still have to take those risks. So I think Dick Gregory's phenomenal. And if people haven't seen the documentary about him, is just wonderful. Just a great documentary.
I haven't seen the documentary. Where can someone find that?
I want to say it's on Showtime, but I believe it's like you could stream it somewhere. Like, you know, a friend of mine did artwork for it, Julie and Kyle, because there's parts where they retell the story and they don't have pictures, so they retell it. But oddly enough, the reveal was that Dick Gregory was really into sharing wellness and health, like healthful thinking, but he died before that dream of his could follow his comedy dream. He was very much about nutritional, like exercise. It's wild. He's a very, when you think of people who, like for me, I always love it when a comic gets on stage. I know not all the comedy is beautiful and good, but I love when they're stepping to people with something new and fresh, and they're trying to just bring something new to the table. And I feel like Dick Gregory, you know, you want to talk about someone who he could make people laugh at the Playboy Club and then convince them to change laws about voting rights. You know, that's how he.
Yeah, that's powerful. I've watched a couple of his interviews on YouTube, and just like some of the insight that he has on like Hollywood and the backstories and some conspiracy theories and you know, stuff like that. I was very intrigued at some of the stuff he had to say in regards to Alex Haley and the Roots and the book The Roots. He had some allegations. I don't know how true they are, but very interesting.
He was mixed up with the FBI so early that, of course, his whole life was going to be marred by conspiracy theories. Because when the FBI was messing with him, when he was hanging out with MLK, when he's hanging out with Medgar Evers, you know, when his son died, he had a son who died when he was a very small, like a baby, and the FBI like taunted him with that. So that definitely changes your perspective, I think, of like government and like the machine. And also, thankfully, you know what's wild is he's in a very bad Rob Schneider movie. You know, there's a Rob Schneider movie where he switches places with a girl. Yes. Okay. The Hot Chick, I think it's called, or something like that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dick Gregory plays a janitor in that movie. And the only reason he did it was because at that age, he didn't have health insurance. But that's how hard he held out for like selling out. You know what I mean? Towards the end of his life, he did a big Hollywood movie because he was like, I need insurance. So he definitely is just kind of like an icon in regards to spoke his mind, didn't apologize, but also paid the price and knew the price he was paying. I'm sure he could have changed his whole thing and been in movies and been a much less political guy, but he stuck to his guns the whole time.
Yeah, that is something I also noticed, that he was very, very vocal and upfront with whoever. It did not matter who you were. If he had something to say, he said it, and he was unapologetic about what he said. So
when he was bringing the energy to the power structure too, like he wasn't just talking to his crowd or making fun of his crowd or whatever. He was bringing energy to the people that mattered. So you know, that's what sets him apart. You know, another way it sets him apart from so many other comics who pretend to be truth tellers or think they're activists.
Absolutely. Well said. Tyrone, who are some of your top favorite comics?
Well, after that list, mine is going to sound real basic. So Dane Cook. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
I was about to say I like Dane Cook.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad. That's cool. That's cool.
That was one of the funniest shows I've seen. Is Full Circle. I think it was called Full Circle.
Is that the one where he did on a literal circle stage?
Yeah, in a literal circle stage. He was like, "You're
Man,
not
he was thinking
God."
on another level.
He was like, "What are you, God?"
Carlin did the circle stage, and also Martin Lawrence did the half circle very well.
Yeah.
We get regarding stage shape.
No, but now Richard Pryor, number one for me. I think a lot of people that's an easy one. I think a lot of people would agree. He's so high up on that list. Eddie Murphy, of course, a guy who really means a lot to me, but a lot of people wouldn't put him this high up on the list. Is Sinbad. Sinbad, and yeah, it sounds, people look at Sinbad as corny or whatever else, but like, nah, he was so damn talented, so good at his craft. It got to the point where he would do shows and he would just he would tell the audience to just yell out whatever they wanted to talk about, and he would hear that and he would respond with good jokes, like not just bullshit, like good jokes on the spot, like without, he was on the spot making good, well-structured jokes, and there are comedians getting specials who can't even manage that. So that's a talent that not a lot of people had. I also gotta second you on Maria Bamford. Maria Bamford kills comedy in such a different way. Like, she has her own little piece of it, and nobody will ever be able to do comedy the way she does comedy. It's really, really good, always funny. She just did a late night set that was really like powerful in the way it was delivered. She was talking about some really heavy stuff, grieving, but was undeniably funny. Not a lot of people can do that.
I've never seen Maria Bamford, but now that you guys have kind of given her the okay, I'm gonna definitely check her out.
Yeah, no,
is
absolutely.
that 5? Was that 5?
I don't know. Was it? No, I don't think it was. Let me give a shout out to Martin Lawrence as one of the best hosts of all time.
Yeah.
He hosted the shit out of Def Comedy Jam. Once he left, it was never really the same. It was always great, but it was never really the same as it was when he was hosting.
His one night stand, the HBO one night stand, Martin Lawrence, it's a half hour, is like damn near perfect. It's amazing.
So good. Yeah, he was on another level.
And you said, is that the newest one?
No, that's the one that he did before he got Martin. So in the act, he's doing all the different characters from Martin without calling it Martin. It's wild. It's almost like that's the half hour that Hollywood saw, and they were like, give this guy everything, you know?
I've never seen that.
I've
seen You So Crazy, which I thought was hilarious at the time. But One Night Stand, I've not seen that one. I'm behind.
Check it out.
So I need to, yeah.
That's why I was
take
like,
my
man,
comedy card.
That's why I was like, watch, Zilla gonna come on here and teach us some stuff.
Yeah,
I know too much.
This is what we need. Holly, how about you? What are some of your top favorite comedians?
Okay, so it's gonna be a mix of some newer ones and older ones. So I want to give a shout out to Joan Rivers, because I love the way she used to roast people on the Fashion Police on E! I thought I love that. Deborah Wilson from Mad TV. I love her impressions. Like the main reason I watch Mad TV. I like Amanda Seales. I think I like how she's, progressive. She speaks her mind about all types of social issues. And I just find her funny. But then I was going to say, I like Godfrey as well. He's one of my favorites.
Very funny.
Like that he speaks his mind. Dion Cole. I like him. And then I'm going to go with Tony Roberts. I love people who do impressions and are just make fun of like their family and other things. And he's funny. So
yeah, Tony Roberts is extremely funny.
Yeah.
I'm so mad I don't have any pictures of any of those people that you just said.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I saw them and I was like, you have the main ones that people typically
typically.
Yeah. I have the ones that like go on before the main one.
Yeah. So let me come with my generic list of what everybody likes. Of course, the GOAT. That's one of my favorites, obviously, for obvious reasons. This guy, I'm surprised nobody said George Carlin. Like, George is like one of the greats, one of the best to do it. And Dave, Dave is currently, top tier right now.
Well, 4 years ago, I would have agreed with you.
That he's top tier?
That he was top tier. I don't think his comedy's been anywhere near at his highest level lately.
Well, even at not his highest level, he's still above everybody else.
He's probably if you walked up to a person in any social class, black, white, whatever, and asked them, name a comedian, they're probably gonna say Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
If they're thinking right now. Yeah.
Absolutely.
He's more popular than he's ever been.
Ever been. And then, little guy from Philly, Kevin Hart, he's I didn't necessarily like his last stand-up or even the one before it. But I think he made such he had such an effect on people with his first 2 comedy specials, or 3. Was it 2? 3? Either way. But I think when he kind of dropped what was it, Little Man or something like that. I can't even think of the titles right now.
About that Wayne's Brothers movie.
No.
I'm just
His
kidding.
comedy specials. you're like, see, I can't with you, man. I can't with you. Yeah. So,
Kevin Hart was
but
a stunt double for that baby, is what I'm trying to say.
yeah, I know.
I'm a grown little man.
Grown little man. Yes, grown little man. I thought grown little man was pretty funny, and the one that he had either after that or before that. You can tell I'm not a comedian, so I just catch him when I can catch him. But just what he's doing um on the movie side, just right now, like there was a time when Eddie Murphy kind of held that down by himself. He was pretty much in every movie and everything like that. And then Chris Rock kind of followed him up and started doing his little movie thing. But Kevin is like sought after. If they do a comedy, they're like, oh, call Kevin and see what he's doing. That's pretty much gonna be in everything. So I had to list him for obvious reasons. And Chris Rock, I feel like if you get slapped in the face, you got to be in my top 5. I don't feel like no. Yeah, I feel like just the way he took that slap boosted him all the way. I was like, oh man, I can't. So Chris Rock, funny guy.
Yeah.
So that is that 5? It might be 5.
More yeah.
But either way, so that would be some of my. Well, no, I can't because this is my favorite comedian. This is really my favorite comedian. This guy right here. That's my favorite.
Bernie, yes,
Bernie is my
we
favorite
Bernie.
comedian, man. Like I loved Bernie. Like his stand up I would be dying, like
Yeah.
like catching. When you laugh so hard, you feel like you're about to die. You're like, oh, like really, like you got to catch yourself from laughing. Yeah, like he's like belly turning funny. Like he's like that's my favorite guy. And so mad that he's gone, but one of my favorite comedians of all time. And listen, in the comment section, please let us know who your favorite comedian is. Your top favorite comedians are. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're following us on YouTube, please make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and make sure you hit that noti bell so you can get all of our videos when they pop out.
Bell, I like it.
Yeah, that noti bell. You know what I'm saying?
Noti bell.
Like that. Now, as of recently, you guys all saw the slap heard around the world. And if you didn't, here's an image for you. But my question to you first, Tyrone, since you are doing stand-up currently, is the stage still safe for today's comedians after the most recent events?
Yeah, I think it's exactly like it was the day before the slap, to be completely honest with you. I think maybe there are more people in the audience who are like, I wonder if we'll see a slap tonight. But like, other than that, it's the same. That was I know people, because Chris Rock is a comedian, like to tie that to comedy, and because he got slapped for for a joke, they like to tie it to comedy. But that was so outside of comedy and the comedy realm that to me it just kind of happened in its own little vacuum. I mean, in such a weird space. It's the Oscars. It's a room full of the weirdest people that we can offer as a society. You know what I mean? It's a room full of the most dramatic people. It's a room full of the most self-centered people. So this is not the kind of thing that happens typically in a comedy club, but it's not that it hasn't happened before, and it's not that it won't happen again. It's just comedy clubs are different. Comedy shows are different than that.
So despite it happening on a stage like the Oscars, you don't feel like a little hole in the wall club. You make a joke about somebody and now they're like, well, if it can go on in the Oscars, I could definitely get away with it over here at this little hole in the wall. You don't think that there's somebody in there with that type of mentality?
Not anymore.
And if they were, they've already been there.
I think if somebody had that mentality after watching the Oscars and went out to a comedy show, I would like to hear that story. I would like to hear their story, just so, even if I got to be the one to take the slap, just so I can meet this person who was like, you know what, my whole life I was waiting for the moment that Will Smith got on stage and slapped Chris Rock so I could go finally, meet my destiny. You know what I mean? Like, that would be a weird thing to experience. Yeah, I'll take the slap so I can meet that person. But to me, it doesn't. It's no more likely now than it was before. So I don't think it changed anything in comedy. I think maybe just people, it was just shocking for people, just in general.
Now, Zilla, you also do comedy. You're also a comedian, stand-up comedian, and I believe you're in the NYC area.
Yes.
Have you ever seen or had an experience where someone was irate at a joke and decided to approach the stage and lay hands or attempt to lay hands on someone?
Oh, multiple times. Comedy's wild dangerous. What? I mean, look, the minute you deign yourself so important that you should grab a microphone and that people should stop and listen, you enter a world where anything kind of goes. Like, and I think maybe I'm speaking more for female comedians, but like the highest level of comedy that I've ever done is I did a weekend in a casino opening for someone. And after a show, a guy walked right up to me and got as many handfuls as he could. He groped me. Do you get what I mean? Like comedy for some reason invites attention. No, we're not saying it's right. I know someone mentioned in the comments, they said, that they think it's a terrible world where we think people should go on stage and slap each other. It's not what I'm saying. But when you take that position, like I think the reason Chris took is so good is because Chris knew that, that was a possibility. You know what I mean? When you, especially roast comedy, like, it was funny because when it happened, immediately my homeboy Petey was like, yo, you ever think Don Rickles ever gets slapped? I said, who knows? That was back in the day, but I'm sure he knew that was a possibility. And I think back to Tyrone's point, I think what surprised people is it wasn't normal comedy. That was comedy at the Oscars. They were in gowns that are like, entire trips to college. So like, that's a whole nother echelon. But in the hood, yeah, I've seen people go up and put hands on a comic. I'm not saying it's right, but if a comic says some wild, disrespectful shit and someone gets upset, this is a part of the job, kind of. And that's why you got to be real good when you say something slick.
It better be funny.
Make sure they laugh. It's like, you absolutely could catch hands after the show. What? Like in those tiny clubs, they don't got security. And
Exactly.
you've seen on TMZ, someone picks up pole and swings at lesser comics. I think what surprised people, back to what Tyrone was saying, is that this happened at the highest echelon of Hollywood. And I think that's what people is like, whoa,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's kind of what raised, because it's funny you said that about your friend, because like immediately when I saw it, I contacted them and was like, I bet you wouldn't have done this if it was Ricky Gervais. I bet you wouldn't have went up there and slapped, someone like that. But it's for it to happen on a stage of this magnitude. I feel like when you see something like that, and not only did it happen, but there were no repercussions for it happening. So when you see something like that, does it, like for the layman who goes to the smaller clubs or whatever, and is like 10 feet away from the comic, you know what I mean? Like it just, I feel like it, and maybe their whole notion now changes. Like, well, if Will can get up and do it on the Oscars, then what's stopping me from doing it in this small club?
Well, alcohol just does that. Like the slap didn't even do that. Do you get what I mean? Like, okay, Tyrone, right? When the people like really drunk, it gets ugly very quickly.
Oh yeah.
Like okay, so I'll give you an example. I had a woman interrupt my joke once with a "but actually," because she thought she was right. She's like, "But actually, blah blah blah," and I was like, I originally was a school teacher. So I was like, holy shit, you about to get ignored to high heaven. Because you think I never heard a million people try to interrupt me when I was teaching? But this woman was insistent, and her homegirls was trying to pull her back down into her seat. And that's because she drank too much. So I feel like there's a lot of factors that go into it that don't relate at all to the Will Smith slap. And other comics getting in trouble. And it's funny you show Robin Williams, but like, comics have laid hands on other comics for stealing bits. Comics have gotten theirs beat for disrespecting powerful people. I'm not saying it's right, but I always thought that when I started comedy, you think people like hearing my takes sometimes? Sometimes there's dudes that look at me and they're like, I don't want a woman talking right now. Do you know how hard it is to overcome that with razzmatazz? You know, you gotta. But I mean, maybe Chris didn't have enough of the. I don't know. You have to say at the end of the day, was the joke valuable enough to cause such a terrible thing for either of their careers? No, that joke wasn't good. That wasn't a good joke. It didn't seem like he thought about it. And that's something I keep in the back of my mind. And that's why your words matter. That's why when I tell comedians, you know, the other day I saw a guy do a whole roast of an entire racial group. I'm thinking he's from that racial group. He ends the set by saying, I'm not from that racial group. Why would you open your mouth and talk bad about anybody that wasn't you? You know what I mean? Like, so I think, okay, if someone says something really offensive on stage, comedy's comedy. But if I'm following them, I'm going to say something, especially if it's racist. So like that, now you're getting into the gears of like, so once again, not co-signing at all Will's behavior, but do your words have power when you say a joke? It's not just covered by an umbrella called, it was a joke. That umbrella sometimes doesn't work. You know, people get real feelings.
It's funny you mentioned, you know, like comics offending, you know, being offensive and saying stuff to, you know, poke at people, because, you know, the previous hosts of the Oscars did a lot of that. Mr. Ricky Gervais doesn't give two fucks.
Well, he hosts the Golden Globes.
Yeah, Ricky is one of those people that does not care who you are and has a mouth on him, and he ripped the Oscars for, you know, not doing something in regards to security and, you know, allowing, you know, everything to transpire the way it did. Me personally, I agree with him. I just thought it was very out of the ordinary, and something that you wouldn't think you would see at the Oscars, and especially a person of the caliber of Will Smith, and also the caliber of Chris Tucker, who has pretty much, you know, put his years in to get where he's at. Both of them, they both put the work in to get where they're at. And for a joke that, you know, was obviously bad, we all agree it was a bad joke, but did it garner him coming up there and slapping this grown man on national television? Absolutely
no,
not.
but at least get slapped for a good joke, you know. Like,
Right.
you gotta catch a slap, at least, you know, get a good shot. And that's the thing, though. Like, I'm never gonna understand why that happened the way it did. Once again, back to what Tyrone was saying, like, I think the Oscars is its own self-contained little environment. So like none of us will ever understand. I mean, a couple years before they read the wrong winner. You know, in what crazy world do they prepare this much? That's why there was a lapse of security. They just sometimes, you know, they're too busy with all the other junk. But I don't think that comics. See, I think what's hilarious is you got a lot of these 2-bit, and I say this to you as, you know, your favorite comedian you can find at a bodega, that like for me to weigh in on that scenario is so wildly tone deaf. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not on that level, so I will never understand it. But there was people like, you know, let Will Smith punch me. You've been doing comedy for 2 months. Only your mother and her friends go see you. Shut up, please. You know, like, I feel like a lot of people weighed in and we were just like, no, you know, it got old real quick.
Yeah, that sounds like hopeful, you know, wishful thinking. Like, I want him to slap me. Like I'll never do comedy again. You know, you know, there's a lot, you know, that typically, I think if he would have slapped anybody else, if he would have went up there and slapped a Steve Harvey or Eddie Griffin or any other comedian, you name them, then this would have went totally different. I'm not saying they would have retaliated in a violent way, but I think the next day there would have been a lawsuit of some sort. Chris is like, you know, he for whatever reason just let it go, and I'm just like, But
he's waiting for that call from Oprah. He already said he wants coin. He wants coin. That's what he said. He's probably gonna wait a year, because right before the Oscars next year, we got an exclusive after the show. We're gonna ask Chris Rock 1 year later how he feels. I'll fucking watch that shit. I will set the TV on right now.
What if he had a neck brace on in the interview, just like
it was like yesterday.
I'm still feeling it. I haven't been able to get on stage, even though he's on stage. It's like every time I get on stage, I'm just I'm anxious.
Got crutches.
Yeah. Most recently, I did see a video of his brother though speaking out on his behalf, just pissed off, and that, and as he should be, for somebody smacking his brother, man. So I think they're plotting to catch Will outside. So Will, watch your back, man.
Has
The
Will
rocks are
been
coming.
outside since it happened? I think he went into like a bungalow.
Yeah, Will's on punishment, like 100. He is not outside for months.
Now, this brings us to another question, which is, how do you like your comedy? Do you like your comedy in the form of TV shows, stand up, movies? Holly, how do you prefer your comedy served?
Oh, I like going to stand-ups, like going in person and like just seeing how they move the crowd. And I don't know, it's just different than watching it like on Netflix. I don't know what it is, seeing a live special on TV, but being in person. So I prefer the stand-up environment. So I have a list of comedians I need to see in person. So
Okay. How about you, Tyrone?
I mean, I'll take it any way I can get it, to be honest. If it's funny, I'll take it. I mean, I have a special love for stand-up, obviously, so the stand-up's gonna be number one. And that's just always gonna be the case, I think. But yeah, if it's funny, I'm here for it. Comedy movies, we're outside of the era of good comedy movies, I think. And that's unfortunate. And I know Zilla's got some opinions on that, and that's one that I'd love to discuss some great classic comedy movies. But yeah, sketch comedy shows in Living Color changed my life. And Living Color was absolutely influential, and just kind of, it was one of those things where when I didn't really have a personality, I was at that age where I was like, I don't know who I am, so I'm just gonna like quote this show in front of people, and they'll think I'm cool. Like that was basically me during the entire run of In Living Color.
Yeah.
Yes, and Living
Men
Color.
on
And Living
Film.
Color was one of my favorite sketch shows. And in particular, this.
Yes.
I still say
Yeah, that
Lingerie.
was one of my favorite sketches, man. Now, Zilla, being a comedian, do you find yourself watching other comedians as an audience member, or do you critique them as a comic? Like, do you find yourself saying like, I don't know about that delivery, or
Oh, well, no. Well, for me, what's tough is that, there's like boxing. So it's like a science to it. So it's cool to watch how other people, like I love the earthquake special, and the joke that he had about heaven. There was a point where there was a really long gap between the laughs. Like he got you to laugh, but then you're listening and you're listening and then you're listening. And he ends it with such a big line at the end that like, I don't really tell jokes that way. So it's dope to watch another comedian and be like, oh, I like the way they did that. That is so different from how other people do it. That being said, the earthquake special was amazing. So I was able to step out of it and be like, you're going to have to watch it twice. Cause it's like, for me, I'll watch it once just laughing, and then I'll watch it again to kind of see what type of choices he made. Knowing how hard it is to write a joke that I feel is good enough for me to say it in a room full of other people. I am sometimes disappointed. That's the only bias I have. When I feel like a famous person is being a little lazy and they're not really getting into the topic in the way that I would love for them to, there is parallel thinking. You see this on TikTok. Someone makes one joke, someone makes one very similar. So I always like it when someone either makes it kind of personal. And I think, to Holly's credit, I think you get that more from live comedy, because they're reading the room. And they're in the town. And like what Dave is going to say in Chicago is different from what Dave is going to say when he visits Harlem. So that's dope. You get like an extra special element of it. So I would say live comedy is great. I also do love, back to that initial question, how I take my comedy. I do love recently I've been getting into comedy shows. So because like, first of all, Bernie Mac show's amazing. And can I just say,
that's my guy. That's my guy.
The Bernie Mac show showed him trying to grow on every topic that he touched on a Def Comedy Jam stage. So remember how he used to do the milk and cookies bit, and it kind of seemed like he was insulting his nephew. He explored at great length him understanding his nephew better in the show. And that was really dope because he came from a more mature perspective.
Yes.
That's what I love about Bernie is that he kept growing. As he got older, he matured and changed up his whole style. But I really like Atlanta. And I think Atlanta's funny in a way that is not conventionally funny. And that's what's dope about comedy shows is that as the seasons go on, you already have inside jokes with the characters. So then as it goes to the next season, you could keep hitting on those inside jokes. Now you know the characters better. So comedy shows are cool. Bust Down. I just started getting into Bust Down with Tyrone, which has Chris Redd. And, you know, it's cool. Abbott
Langston
Elementary.
Kerman.
Great. You know, funny and, you know, cute little half-hour shows. That's dope.
Yeah. I think for me, it's comedy. It's the comedy shows, the televised comedy shows that I'm really, really, really into. Like I just showed, the Bernie Mac show was one of my favorites. I mean, this one, I mean, come on, this never gets old. I'm always watching Chappelle Show reruns, waiting for
Clayton
them.
Bigsby's hitting a little different these days.
Well, I mean, for you.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, the company he's keeping these days, I'm like, ooh, Clayton, you're starting to come out, man. Let's not method act here. Let's not go full Jared.
And I mean, this was one of the really good shows on HBO for a very, very long time. Curb Your Enthusiasm that I really enjoy. And then of course, you know, we talked about In Living Color. But we had to go back for some of these, man, because I'm about to show my age here. So I don't want to hear any jokes in the comment section. But this was one of my earliest favorite sketch shows of all time. Like it was a cool, exciting, funny take on the world at that time. These guys are all, if you look at these guys from Kids in the Hall, all of these guys have had successful careers in some way, whether it be in TV shows or movies that you've seen, and things like that. But Kids in the Hall was one of my favorites. I don't know. Like I said, I'm showing my age here.
They got a new one coming out.
Huh?
They got a new one coming out.
See, now you getting ahead of yourself, Zilla. Now hold up. Wait a minute. See, I can't even look. I can't even. You know what? It's out the bag. It's out the bag, y'all. Thank you, Zilla. And you know what? Fine. You wanted it. You wanted it, Zilla. You got it. Here.
Who are you people?
Well, the curse is lifted and the kids are back.
Well, who's financing this time? The devil again?
Well, sort of. Amazon.
Okay, new plan. This is a bad idea.
Do you know what Amazon wants from Kids in the Hall?
Yes, Don, a funny show, but one that is free of targets.
Oh, like some sort of penile stigmata.
Alarming edginess or unsettling settings.
Yeah.
Hey, Mom, did I miss anything? Oh, Jesus, Mom, what the fuck you doing? What are you doing in here, you little perv?
So we all agree that gender parity is a good thing.
Well, that would be inadvisable in this case. Is it true what they say about Swedish pussy? That it's cheap, it falls apart in a couple of years?
George, that's IKEA.
Don't mansplain me.
This isn't the 90s. That shit don't fly here no more.
I've opened a can of worms, haven't I?
What the hell? You're masturbating.
No, what's the big idea for hit characters?
Make love to me now on the floor.
Oh, hey, oh boy. Mark that down as a clean catch.
Do you think this is a toxic workplace?
Invisible knife! The cat's got my gun. Burn me down! Invisible gun! Hilarious.
Dad, why'd you name yourself Richard? He was like, because I want to be rich.
So, thank you, Zilla, for letting the cat out the bag. Kids in the Hall is back, y'all.
You and me could go to parties. You bring up Kids in the Hall. I'm like, did you know there's a new one? And then you
just play the video, yo. But yeah, Kids in the Hall is back. I didn't even know Zilla until I was doing, getting ready for the show. And then I was like, this can't be right. And I was like, I went online, I was like, snap, like really, this is coming back. So I'm excited. I don't know about you guys. Just that little clip is showing what Kids in the Hall was always about. They were raunchy. They did not care about what they said. I mean, like, it looks like they're addressing all of the things that go on in our world today. So look, man, I'm excited. I'm excited. Holly, did you ever see Kids in the Hall back in the day?
No.
You're
No.
ready.
I was like in kindergarten, so probably not.
Dang, oh man.
I'm like, all
wow,
that,
okay, I'm that old.
You know,
That's
all that.
Woo. Yeah. Tyrone, I know you saw Kids in the Hall.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, I wasn't an avid watcher, but I would watch sketches with friends and stuff like that. They'd be like, look at this. And, you know, I would see something. I'd be like, this is so wild. But I'd never, for whatever, I don't know if I just didn't have like, what channel did it come on back in the day?
MTV.
HBO.
Well, HBO, yes. HBO and then
I
reruns
didn't
on
have
like
HBO
MTV.
growing up.
Okay, I was missing the reruns on MTV. That was my problem because I definitely wasn't catching it on HBO. We were an HBO family until later on in life. But yeah.
Because if you remember correctly, back in the day, the only time you saw comedy, honestly, you only saw comedy if you had premium channels or they did a special. You didn't see comedy on television. They didn't start doing comedy on television until like Comic View and
we could thank Def Jam for that.
Yeah, and Def Jam and stuff like that. Like, but just to see raw you only saw that if Eddie Murphy dropped a special or, you know, like Richard Pryor. That was the only way you would, or if you go real far back, radio. You know what I mean? Like you could hear like comedy skits and stuff on the radio, but as far as like televised,
HBO did a lot of they did a lot of different stand-up shows. They did a lot of they did this show called One Night Stand, where you would get a lot of like up and coming people at the time.
That's the Martin one I was telling you about. He's one of the many episodes of One Night Stand.
Yeah. So and so it was you'd have, what do they do? They did 15s on that, or was it 30s?
I think 30s.
It was 30s, yeah. But like you can see a lot of you'll go back and see like the beginning of a lot of careers if you watch One Night Stand.
But I don't think, okay, so you have to admit that the compression, they kind of accordioned, they canceled, they tried to reboot Apollo all wrong, Showtime at the Apollo, and they took away the very essence. Like, I'm sorry. The whole point of Showtime at the Apollo is to not have it be people from like a bunch of white people. Forgive me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean, but like they brought it back, right? That's America's Got Talent. America's Got Talent and Apollo got to exist separately.
Right.
I feel like we don't have enough opportunities to see up and coming. I'm actually sad that Comic View doesn't exist, you know, anymore, or like, because those were places for young comics to kind of cut their teeth, or new comics. I feel like TikTok kind of messed a lot with people are used to getting their comedy in little 30-second bits now. So I think it's harder for them to sit down to a show like, you know, but I miss, what was it? Even the one where they would insult each other. The roast one was Monique, Tracy Morgan, and them. Remember they used to have a show where they, you know, that I wish there was just.
You're from New York, so hold up. I'm about to hold on, because I know you're gonna remember this one. Uptown Comedy Club.
Uptown Comedy Club.
Uptown Comedy Club, where Tracy Morgan was Hustle Man. Man.
That's what I mean. Like, I wish there was more indie, like, you know, but I feel like Netflix took over that. And of course, unfortunately, Netflix thinks that you want to keep seeing white men. It's predominantly white men. When you see all the new special drop, and that's unfair. And like, you know, I know people got really upset at her when she brought it up, but I thought Monique was maybe too soon, maybe too early. He was complaining about things like years ago, saying that, you know, they didn't offer her and Wanda the same amount of coin. Bert Kreischer, with his head over his shirt over his head, they give him like 4 or 5 specials, you know? I don't know. So I just feel like there's a lot of underrepresented people in comedy. So that's like the one thing that I thought, real late night shows like that, it was whoever wanted to go up. Whoever was good, they will put up, you know? Def Comedy Jam is good people. They're all funny.
Yeah, to your point about the representation and stuff, it's not only that we miss out on that representation, but the audience, frankly, misses out on better comedy. So much of the comedy that we're missing out on is really, really good comedy. I mean, you know, we could sit here and just start listing names of people that whose name you don't know yet, but deserve to be in these spots, like without question.
Absolutely. Another show that came out back then was around the time of In Living Color, as well was Mad TV,
Man, I love
which was
TV.
another sketch show that was really really funny. This is I think the second wave. I think this was the original cast of Mad TV. And
Mhm.
if you look up there, you can see some comedians, Ari Spears. I don't know the rest of the names here, but
Phil
I know
Lamar.
that they.
Yeah, Phil
Who
Lamar,
else?
Phil Lamar, Deborah
Okay.
Wilson, Will
Wilson.
Sasso, Michael
Yeah,
McDonald, Alex Borstein.
yeah,
What was Nicole
Sullivan.
Yep, and the
yeah.
other guy I don't know. Mo
So you got
Collins, and
so
then
you got
just the other guy.
all of these comedians that started on these shows, these late night shows that have had successful careers after the show was stopped and everything. And like I said, I think Mad TV has been rebooted, and I believe is being rebooted again. I'm not sure. I've heard some discussions or whatever. So on the CW or whatever, but I don't know necessarily if that is actually a thing or not. But
Also, Mad TV is known as a prequel to Key and Peele.
Yes, and
yes,
Key and
yes,
Peele is a wonderful sketch show.
Mhm.
yes. Yes, to speak on that, this is them on Mad TV when they kind of got their start.
Oh, this was a great
So
cast.
Yeah.
This was a
yes,
really great cast.
And if you go back and watch their stuff on Mad TV, and just like Mad TV was just good, period. But if you watch their sketches, you can definitely see that they were a cut above. Like they were standouts without a doubt.
Oh, they have
um,
a Dangerous Minds Freedom Riders gag about white ladies teaching in the hood. It's a beautiful sketch. It's like perfect. You could find it on YouTube, really busted, like not clear, but
It's
you'll
on
laugh.
somebody's TV.
Yeah, but you will laugh. It's about these. She gives them journals and it changes their lives. They make so much fun. They were actively making fun of things that were messed up. I feel
Yeah.
like SNL is just really silly at the time when Mad TV was on. Mad TV
Right.
was trying to make statements. They were really trying.
Yeah, they kind of picked up where In Living Color left off in that regard. In Living
Yes.
Color was very, very, they were very relevant, very poignant with the stuff that they would talk about. But yeah, then Mad TV picked that up.
yeah, I think they had them. I think they had them on the right after In Living Color. I think when it was playing, I think In Living Color came on, and then right after that, I think Mad TV came on. So they had them like right on the same because they were on Fox, right?
Mm-hmm. They were both on Fox.
On Fox.
Honestly, my memory has separated them. They feel like different eras for me, so like I can't tell you when they ran because my memory.
Well,
has
no,
separate.
no, I'm telling you, no, I'm telling you, I watched it. So
I trust you. I'm not saying that. Don't believe Ty. He's filling your head with bullets. None of that. I'm just saying, like in my head, it's all like it just because it felt so different. Like Mad TV and Living Color felt so different that like I separated them in my memory as eras. Yeah, it's kind of so your mind does that to yourself sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
What were your favorite sketches though from Mad TV? I want to hear this from you guys.
Oh gosh, wow, wow. Now that's
Stewie
where my
the
memory
baby.
goes blank. This age is
catching.
Which one?
The baby. When Stewie?
Oh,
What do they call him? Stewie. Stewart.
Yeah, Stewart. Yeah,
Stewie.
Stewart
I
was
kept
a good
thinking
one.
of like Stewie.
Yeah.
Stewart.
I loved Will Sasso's Michael McDonald impression whenever he would show up and do the Michael McDonald. That was really, really good. One of my absolute favorites. I don't know what they called it, but it was Key and Peele, and they would do these just two friends that were extremely superstitious about everything. So whenever something happened that would like trigger a superstitious reaction, they would do these very elaborate like handshake type, step type shit, and it was always hilarious. And especially Jordan Peele just sold it so hard. Like every time he would go so hard.
I think they carried that over to the Key and Peele show. As a matter of fact,
that sketch, I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, that same sketch they carried because they used to be like, "You can't step on that."
Yeah.
Oh man, what? Like, don't cut the pole. Yeah. They used to do
they did a Deal or No Deal one, and to this day, I still go, "No deal." Like whenever that pops into my head, I cannot help it. No, thank you. Like the way he would just kill that shit. It's one of my favorites.
What about you, Zilla? What was your favorite Mad TV moment?
I really liked. I think. What's her name? Deborah Jones as Whitney Houston. When a time when everybody was just making fun of Whitney Houston, she did it in a way that was funny but made you feel bad. And that was important. And like, it came from her place of love. Like, so, and I think that's important when you are coming for somebody and you are like kind of mocking someone in a position of power. As we know, when they were making Mad TV, Whitney was still okay. So it felt like something they could still say. But she always lent, when she did Oprah, I think she really diminished them playing Oprah as a big woman, because that's always the gag, right? They go right after Oprah's body. She just very much embodied Oprah. That was the, she made it funny that way. So I've
That's
always
poetry.
loved her. Yeah.
Now, I had a lot of respect for this next lady, just because she did it on her own, at a time when women were, well, I mean, there's never been a time when women haven't been underappreciated and undervalued. But this, for her to have her own show on a syndicated premium network like HBO, just spoke volumes about her creativity, because she was one of the first people to really jump into the sketches hardcore, and play everybody in the sketch almost. Like, so she was doing what Eddie Murphy was doing before Eddie Murphy was doing it. And that's one Tracy Ullman. Tracy Ullman, yes, Tracy Ullman. I used to watch her show, the Tracy Ullman Show, and she literally played practically every character on the show, which I thought was just very telling of her talent and her creativity. Do any of you guys, again, this is me telling my age here, but anybody here remember the Tracy Ullman Show?
I do. So I'm older than Tyrone. So, and I think I'm a little less older than you, or maybe the same age. But I remember when Tracy Ullman's show premiered The Simpsons. It was a short on the Tracy Ullman Show, and then people liked it so much they made it into a regular show. But one thing I always remembered about her was, it's always admirable when a woman is very into modifying her appearance, even if it makes her unattractive, just for a joke. Because I think people get freaked out when a woman looks terrible. And like, to the women of Mad TV, they always went full in when they wore prosthetics, or when they did, so Tracy Ullman's strength was always that she kind of loses herself. She would do a wig, she put some fake teeth, she would do the whole thing, to play a different character, which is very cool.
Absolutely. Tyrone, you got any memories of Tracy Ullman's show? I mean, she is a fellow Brit.
Yeah, well, it's funny because like I always thought she was really funny, but as a kid, I never really got a chance to watch it because my mom hated Tracy Ullman for some reason. I don't know, like I always thought that she would be excited to see one of her own kind on TV, but she could not stand Tracy Ullman, and I have never understood why. I think I honestly I think it was like kind of an old fashioned sort of reaction to like. Like this, well, that's not how a lady should behave on television, like that kind of a thing. But she couldn't stand Tracy Ullman. So I was, I would see stuff here and there, catch it like, later on, that sort of thing. And it was always so funny. I'm like, I don't get it. Why is she so mad? Like, I don't know if they had some beef or something back in the day. Like,
we need to bring your mom on. She's got to tell us what the beef was.
She's gonna be like, that bitch. Let me tell you.
Flashbacks happening.
Definitely, that would be epic. Now, one of the shows that is, I want to say currently, or maybe they stopped it, but The Last OG. Have you guys seen that?
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I'm really showing this is to spotlight Tiffany Haddish, and the fact that I've seen Tiffany Haddish's stand up. She's funny. I don't think she's like hilarious, but I think she's funny. But I love the way that she has taken her talents and kind of utilized them in the film industry the way that she is. Like she was on, what was that movie with Latifah and Girls Trip, and turned out to be the best part of the whole show, and she's just kept on from there, just kind of like she was on SNL and just really good at what she's doing now, as far as an actress. And I just wanted to spotlight her, just because I love what she's doing, and I love that she's multifaceted in the fact that she can do the stand up, but also translate that to the big screen and look good doing it. Also, another individual that I find incredibly funny is Mr. Bill Burr. And Mr. Bill Burr, has most recently been in one of our favorite shows, Tyrone, which is The Mandalorian. So he's also another guy that's kind of translating into the big, kind of
I thought you were going to say F is for family.
Huh?
I thought you were going to say F is for family. That was your favorite
F is for family.
I
actually haven't. I've never watched F is for Family. I know that's his show, his animated show, but I've never actually watched it. Is it really funny?
You should. Yeah, it's definitely Bill Burr all the way through it. So if you're a fan of his comedy, it's
yes, I am a fan of Bill Burr. I'm definitely a fan of Bill Burr. But yeah, man, like this, when it comes to comedy, comedy is and laughter is supposed to be good for your soul. And I hope that we as a society can allow the comedians to explore their craft and not be so sensitive to everything. I understand that there are a lot of things going on in the world. There are a lot of people that don't necessarily get the nods and the what is it I'm looking for, Tyrone? You're my translator. But he is. He really is.
Flowers they deserve.
Yeah. They're not getting their flowers, but I want to be able to enjoy a comedian feeling like they're doing what they love, as opposed to feeling like they're under a huge lens and microscope and being critiqued for every comment that they say. Like, I mean, I came from a generation where you could say anything, but now like I understand you don't just say anything, but I don't want the comedians to just everybody to be censored. You know what I'm saying? It's like to a degree, and I feel like censorship. I know. Here you go, Tyrone.
Yeah,
go ahead.
go. I'm coming.
Yeah,
in.
I know you go. I know you.
I'm about to do. As a comedian myself, and for my personal beliefs, please critique everything that I say. I hope that you that people hold me to a high standard, to where the words that I say on stage and the words that I put out there are not only mean something and are funny and are entertaining, but also if they're substantive, that isn't like that substance doesn't involve or doesn't include people's pain, unless those people are in positions of power causing other people pain, in which case fuck them, and I'm going for it. You know what I mean? Like that kind of a thing. So I do think that I think it's kind of the audience's job to hold comedians accountable in a way. They're the whole, it's one of the only arts where you sit there and directly address your audience from your heart and soul. And if you're putting that out there, you want to make sure that you're doing it the right way. And the audience, is kind of a part of that. So I think that, to a certain extent, the audience should be holding comedians accountable. And I think that comedians should also stop using comedy as a shield to protect yourself against criticism, and also stop using comedy as a weapon to hurt people who are already being hurt by a very, very cruel world. Off my soapbox.
No. Listen, I knew you were gonna bring it. That's why we love you so much. But I'm cautious with that, because if you look at history and satire, which is what comedy is, there was a point in time where kings and noblemen used to gag those people that criticized government in a satirical way.
Oh, still very much happens. Yeah,
it does.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is as a comedian, I know you take yourself seriously, but as an audience, comedy is not meant to be taken so seriously. That's why it's comedy. And that's why I'm like, as an audience member, not a comedian, because this is not my craft, but as an audience member, I want to go into a thing and just laugh my ass off. If the joke is a joke, I can take it as a joke. I know that there are people who are being hurt out here in the world, in the real world. I understand that. But a comedy show is meant to pick at people. It is meant to pick at people.
Well, I would say a comedy show is meant to be funny. it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be picking at people. And that's why I said one of the first things I said when I was talking about holding myself accountable was, first things I said is I want my words to be funny and entertaining. That was the first thing. And that's always going to be the first thing. Anything I say in comedy is going to have that caveat. It needs to be funny. But also, I don't think I need to add anything else to anybody else's plate who already has a very full plate of hate and bigotry and, being marginalized and stuff like that. So that's where I kind of step back a little bit and say, okay, maybe comedy shouldn't be used to hurt this group so the other groups can, enjoy it. Unless that group is a group that's in power, that is doing what you were talking about, which is, people in power hushing the voices of the people who don't have power. When those people, we should be talking about those people. We should absolutely be making fun of those people, satirizing, just completely tearing down in whatever way we possibly can. But I do, and as somebody who doesn't get offended by comedy, just in general, even when if somebody's roasting me or whatever, like, yeah, go for it, like it's whatever. But I just I do understand when there's a button that's hit that means something to people. I think it's right to listen to the voices, because the audience, the audience at large, the voices that are speaking up about hateful rhetoric in comedy, bigotry and stuff in comedy, it's not senators and stuff like that. It's the audience is just the people. It's the people that you're talking directly to. It's the people that you want to be hearing your comedy. So you want to entertain them. You don't want to hurt them. But the people that are out there with the power to like cancel somebody, these are the people with all the money, making all the decisions, Netflix executives and stuff like that. And they're not canceling anybody for bigotry. That's just not happening. If anything, they're getting more specials because of it.
Well, I don't want to, and that's a great point, but I don't want to like specify on one particular aspect of comedy. I think what you're talking about, I definitely understand. But again, I feel like the seriousness that has been put into comedy and critiquing of the comics is a little excessive, because in essence, a comedian picks at himself or themselves a lot on stage.
Mm-hmm.
They are a version of people. So when I'm talking about picking, some of the best comedy that I've heard before has been a person picking at themselves, their family, people who are in their lives, things like that. Because let's be honest, your material comes from the things that are around you. Oh, yeah. So if I can't talk about the things that are going on around me, then now I have to invent stuff. And it just gets kind of convoluted when you start doing that. But
I want to step aside and yield to a different perspective. I think I would love to hear Zilla's, chiming in on just this conversation.
On what in particular?
Oh no, just I don't know if you have anything to say. If you had any thoughts you wanted to share.
In regards to censorship and comedy, look at what happened with Parler. Meaning, like, once you said you can't say this here, a whole business model rose up, and for weeks people downloaded this app just to be in the outs with Nick Cannon. Remember when Nick Cannon got in trouble? So I feel like right now is a good time to be a comedian, because even if you get canceled, that's going to get retweeted so much, you're still going to make coin if you're smart. Now, what I worry is that people are now looking to get canceled. And I think that is more dangerous to comedy than actual cancellation. So what I feel like is people saying really wildly out of pocket things because they know it'll get retweets, it'll gain traction. And back to your point, Ty, where you're like, now they're not being them true selves. Yeah, like there's no intentionality. They're just trying to be hot button, hot topic. They're trying to get on a tour with Joe Rogan. They're trying to get those supplement. Look at Joe Rogan. They're trying to get a podcast. Like Tyrone said, I feel like big money is following the scandal now, which is tainting comedy, because you have actual joy makers. You have people with great perspective and an idea. Look at Miss Pat. Miss Pat's show is chugging along. People love it. And that's all Hub working her butt off. No big companies behind the Miss Pat show. Throw the money there. But they'll find a dude or somebody who infuriated people, and they'll give him a show instead. Mm-hmm. So, I just think I don't like the relationship that money cancellation have right now in comedy. Absolutely. I feel like a lot of angry comedy is getting pushed to the top, and it's representing all of comedy. And that's no fun, but I agree. I think you're both correct in many ways. I do think that there's parts of you, like, you ever got a fetish so crazy that you know you have to have a good relationship with someone before you bring it up?
Yeah.
I think a lot of comics think they have that relationship with everybody from jump, and they say crazy. No, you got to get there, baby, little by little. Let us love you. Then you say your hot take on the president, your hot take on somebody's ex-wife, whatever it is. Get us there, But people come out. They think they tweeting. They got Twitter fingers, just saying crazy shit.
They don't have comedians anymore. We just got Twitter fingers.
That's the thing.
That's the thing that's worrying me more than censorship, is the marriage of the internet and how people don't want to pay for comedy anymore. TikTok's hilarious.
That is true. That is true. Holly, do you have a take on this issue really quick?
I was just gonna say, I think roast sessions are funny when but I understand, because you think about like Ricky Smiley, how he used to make fun of what was his cousin
cousin Daryl, right?
Daryl, and there was like Precious, but he would basically was making fun of people with disabilities. And then after a while, like, you just realize like those things are like, yeah, that's probably not the best thing to be making comedy about anymore. So I think as just people evolve and mature, I think they censor themselves too. Like, because it was funny back then, but then as society changed, like, oh yeah, we really shouldn't be making fun of disabilities, even if it is our family. And it is hilarious to us because it's just, so those are the things I've noticed about certain comedians. Like, if you look at stuff like Ricky Smiley, Cat Williams, a lot of them did like in the 90s, but then what they do now, it's like their stuff has like an undertone of like social activism, or trying to be like, talk about racism. And you're like, I remember when you guys used to just make fun of what people used to wear. And now it's like so deep, which is not that it's not funny, but it's like, I do think they're more cognizant. Comedians tend to be more cognizant of the things going on in society.
Yeah.
Like, oh, remember that Steve Harvey suit, the ketchup red, and like the, the church shoes. And now it's like,
absolutely. Like the comedy, and it should be looked at in the context of the era in which it was in. Like, you can look at something with hindsight and be like, that, by today's standards, and for a good reason, that wouldn't fly today. But in that time, that shit was funny. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's fair. Yeah.
So that's kind of what I feel like you both are kind of like saying, that I think as we get older, I think we just realize like, yeah, it's probably not in good taste. Just
but I'm gonna laugh at that shit by myself though.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And it's not to say the audience wouldn't laugh either, but it's probably not in good taste at this point in time. So
this is a really great subject. I feel like we could talk about this forever, but we don't have that much time. So let me go ahead and
have to come back.
Let's go. Yeah, because we we will debate this forever. So listen, let's go ahead and get to the must watch TV part of the show and wrap it up. Must watch TV, guys. What are we watching on TV? Let's see. Currently, we are watching Top Boy. If you have not watched Top Boy by now, after the third week that I've said watch it, what are you doing with yourself? Please go watch this show. This series is a very, very good series. I won't compare it to The Wire as much as I would like to compare it to The Wire, but it's just a great show overall. Please go check out Top Boy on Netflix, now streaming. Also, we cannot forget Tyrone's favorite show on television, Atlanta. Very well written show, very funny. And you want to say anything about your show, Tyrone?
Please, if you're not watching it, just watch it. There's no show doing what this show is doing.
I think I had more enthusiasm than you. But listen, watch Atlanta.
At the end of the show,
it's Tyrone's favorite show. Okay,
yeah, it's my favorite show.
For no other reason, because it's his favorite show. But listen, we are also now watching Halo. Holly is on the team of Halo watchers.
Got my friends log in.
Are you watching Halo? Zilla, are you watching Halo?
I am not watching Halo. I do know that young man who stars in Halo is a dime, though, so maybe I should. Pablo Schreiber, I believe his name is. He was on The Wire as one of the Sabatkas.
He was. He was back in his slimmer days.
I know he's jacked now.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And that may be questionable jacks, by the way. That may be a very questionable jack. And watch the show and you'll see why I say that.
Okay, all right. I'm into it.
Yeah. Also, just started watching this called Outer Range, starring Josh Brolin on Prime Video. This is an interesting show. I cannot tell you what it's about. I've watched 2 episodes and I'm lost, but it's hella interesting. It's one of those shows where you're like, I'm gonna find out what the hell's going on in this next episode. So listen, check it out.
Know what I'm watching.
Yeah, I know. But check it out. It's a pretty good show. Bridgerton is
horny,
just a masterpiece. I cannot speak enough about it.
Horny.
Yeah, I'm so serious.
Horny.
Like my wife put me onto this show. As a husband, to the husbands out there, sometimes
you gotta put it on.
Yeah, you're forced to watch something and you want to hate it so bad because it just doesn't seem like it's something for you, and then you find yourself liking it. Listen, I'm not gonna sit here and shy away from it. Bridgerton is a very good show. Classical music, that they make today's music into classical music, which is just so yes, Bridgerton. Yes, please check out Bridgerton. What else we got?
I want to hear the classical version of Lil Durk. That's what I want to hear.
If you want to you might catch that. You might catch that. Also, something dropped, guys. It didn't drop. Actually, you can't watch it yet, but we have the clip for you guys to see because this just dropped. So
trailer.
Let's see if we want to watch it.
These hands were once used for battle. Now they're but humble tools for peace. I need to figure out exactly who I am. I want to choose my own path, live in the moment. My superheroing days are over.
Remember what I told you? You ever feel lost? Just look into the eyes of the people that you love. Not me.
What? Just listening.
What if we just left at that point? Just that show,
right?
And it was just done. No end credit scene, nothing. We just stopped.
Nothing. Yo, listen, that looks like they are fully going corny. But it's corny in a good. I feel like it's going to be corny in a good way, just because it's Marvel and they just don't mess up.
Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
They're hearkening to He-Man. The He-Man font, the use of Sweet Child of Mine puts you right at the 80s of where He-Man at that time was more popular than Thor. Thor was very popular in the late 70s, early 80s, and then in the mid 80s, like a bunch of other properties. So I feel like what he's trying to do is kind of get very nostalgic first. Like the use of the Guns N' Roses at the start of this trailer, I was like, they really trying to take everybody's money. I know these old dudes gonna be in the theater like, oh my God, we're gonna see this. We gotta see this.
But you picked right up on it though. Taika Waititi, the director, he actually tweeted out the trailer and he was like, coming out July 1986. So like he just straight up was just like, yep, we're having a good time with this. But also like knowing the villain and knowing where this story is going, it's gonna hurt. Like there's gonna be some pain in this movie. Like it's not gonna be all sunshine and lollipops by any stretch of the imagination. So prepare. It's gonna be fun. I think people are gonna be surprised by how heavy it gets.
Yeah, at this point, I don't think people are going to be surprised at all with the masterpieces that.
Why can't you just agree with me, man?
Just
I'm
continue
kidding.
to come out. But listen.
I don't think people are going to be surprised at all.
Yeah, they're not going to be surprised. I mean, at this point, we're just not. Like, it's like it's more of an expectation at this point. It's like, oh, it's going to be good. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's Marvel. Marvel doesn't drop the ball. But anyway, look, last show, Moon Knight. I'm not even going to pull up the graphic. You know what it is. It's on Wednesdays. This week's episode was a little bit of a lull.
Bonkers.
Yeah, definitely wasn't the greatest episode, but check it out anyway. But listen, we're out of here. Zilla, I want to give you an opportunity to tell everybody where they can get at you, when they can watch the show, anything you got coming on the schedule. Just let us know.
Oh, absolutely. Really quickly, I go by @ZillaVodness on Instagram and/or Twitter. On Twitch, which I would love for you guys to follow if you can, I'm @ZillaVision. And on Mondays, I have a stream actually with Tyrone called Silver Stream, where we go over all of our favorite streaming services and the shows we like. So, catch me on the flip-flop. If you live in New York, I perform all the time. Just follow me on Instagram or check out my Instagram page. There'll be more information. Thank you guys for having me.
What time does the show come on Mondays?
It's Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern.
8 p.m. Eastern. So we definitely will be tuned into that. Tyrone, you want to talk to the people real quick?
Yeah, on Monday, I have a show with Zilla on ZillaVision at Twitch, or at ZillaVision on Twitch. Saturday's New Blurred Order, obviously. You got to come check us out. We talking all the nerd shit. Wednesday, 6:30 for Multiverse. This Friday, I'll be on KO Comedy at 11 p.m. It's an online show. Check the Twitter, and I'll put something on Instagram so you can have the link for that. And yeah, that's what's going on this week.
Busy, man. Busy. Cool. Holly.
You can find me at So Please Understand on YouTube. Check out my channel, subscribe, and like my videos. But again, catch us every Wednesday at 6:30 on YouTube and Facebook Live. And don't forget to like, comment, share our videos, and tune in for next week's episodes, which is 90s and 2000 trends, music, fashion, technology. So we'll be dressed up.
Yeah, we will be dressed up in my traditional city gear, baggy jeans.
Oh shit.
No tight jeans over here, baby. I celebrate 90s all year, every year.
I got a shirt for that. That's gonna be so much fun.
So yeah, man. Listen, thanks everybody for coming through and showing love. The comment section, you guys were lit as always. Thank you. We appreciate all of the love and the support. Please go follow the Neighborhood Finance Guy, the Financial Griot, New Blurred Order, Hot Laughs. Am I missing anybody, guys? Because I hate to miss anybody. I want everybody to know I love them. Make sure you follow ZillaVision. Make sure you follow Silverstream. Anybody?
TBD podcast.
A pod called TBD.
Yeah.
If I missed you, I didn't do it purposely. I love you. Just curse me out in my DMs and we'll be fine. But until next week, guys, we are the Multiverse Podcast, and we're out. If I can get to the thing after I scroll for a million years. But yeah, we're out now.